Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Secrets of a Witch podcast with me, Sabrina Scott. On this podcast, I talk about life, love, healing, spirituality, magic, tarot, witchcraft. I know magic and witchcraft sound like the same thing. Not quite. Mindset, mental health, healing, trauma, how to live a good life, and more. And I wanted to thank you all for taking the time out of your day, out of your week, out of your evening, whatever time it happens to be right now. Thank you for taking time out of your life to listen to this podcast. I am so appreciative for your time and energy and attention. I do not take it for granted. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I especially wanted to thank y'all because guess what? This is episode number 200 of this podcast, and I can't believe it. It seems kind of insane that I've recorded 200 of these, and my goal for 2025 is to get to episode 300 before the year is over. So let's see. And if any of you listening would like to request an episode topic, maybe there is something that you feel like I've kind of talked about but didn't really get too in depth into, please, please, please send me an email or send me a hello on Instagram, be in touch in some kind of way, and let me know because ultimately this podcast is here for y'all. It is here to be of service and to help you guys maybe learn something new, make some new connections. I aim to be thought-provoking and empowering, and if I can inspire you to reflect on your life, your behavior, your choices, and your goals, dreams, and visions for the future, then I will consider myself to have at least more or less done my job. So thank you. And again, be in touch if there is a recommendation for a topic that you would like me to get into. It would be my pleasure. So for today's episode, I wanted to talk about this week's total lunar eclipse. Very exciting. I am super stoked for eclipse season, which starts now. So you guys are probably already feeling the vibe starting to shift. And eclipses always usher big change, cataclysmic realizations, transformations, growth, changes in perspective. The eclipses can feel like anything from the death card to the tower card to the star to judgment. And my tarot people will all know those are cards towards the end of the major arcana in the tarot. And I just want to talk about the eclipse for this week. So what's really interesting about it, it's a total lunar eclipse. And it begins Thursday, March 13th at 11:57 p.m. It ends on Friday, March 14th at 6 in the morning. And the peak totality is overnight in the middle of the night, technically Thursday night, I guess technically Friday morning, Friday, March 14th at 2:58 a.m. So totality apparently is going to be lasting about an hour. For my folks last year in North America who got to see the total solar eclipse, we got about 3 to 4 minutes of totality. But for the lunar eclipse, for whatever reason, someone I'm sure knows a lot more about this than me. I've gotten super curious about eclipses, so I'm definitely going to do a deep dive and report back to y'all about what all this is and why the timeline is so different. I'm sure there's an answer. But the totality for the total lunar eclipse this week is about an hour. So it's a super slow burn. And we can see this with our naked eyeballs. I've personally never witnessed a total lunar eclipse. If I did, it was completely by accident. I'm sure I would have noticed it if I had seen it because the total solar eclipse was completely mind-blowing and amazing. Definitely one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had. And so, depending on where you live, you will be able to view this totality experience. And so, if you're in North America, which I think most of you are, I do have a lot of folks in Europe, so hello to you guys. But if you are in North America, I'm pretty sure most places are able to experience and see totality. So do check all the details and the maps of the transits based on where you live. And of course, check your time zones. The time zone information that I just gave is for Eastern time, which of course is my local time here in Toronto. So please do look that up and do the conversions with wherever it is you happen to live. So this total lunar eclipse, obviously we've got the full moon in Virgo in the South Node. And so, without getting too into it, because as you guys know, I'm not an astrologer, but what I can say about this, as someone with a Virgo rising, of course, Virgo is a very meticulous, detail-oriented sign. It's a sign that is ruled by Mercury. Interestingly, Mercury retrograde is around the corner, and we are in a Venus retrograde right now. And so having a Virgo total lunar eclipse, and again, a lunar eclipse, we've got that lovely full moon this week, and it being a Virgo South Node eclipse is all about release. And so when we're releasing a Virgo energy, what we are releasing is perfectionism. We are releasing an obsessive meticulousness. And sometimes perfectionism and an obsessive meticulousness can be really fantastic qualities. Those are qualities about myself that I personally do not want to get rid of, as I do think they are responsible for at least some of my success. But at the same time, we're moving into a moment that is inviting us to be a little bit less OCD, so to speak. And I don't mean that in a clinical sense, I mean that in a more colloquial, casual sense of that expression. So we can loosen up a bit. And actually, this astrological moment is inviting us to chill the fuck out a bit, become a bit less obsessed with things needing to look a particular way. Sometimes when we're so attached to things needing to be and look a particular way, we're so attached to this controlling nature, whether that's controlling ourselves or controlling others. Sometimes we go a little bit too far, and that actually begins to harm us rather than help us. And so, with this particular eclipse, it's asking us, okay, what can you chill out about? Is there anything you've been a little, I don't know, meticulous about that maybe you can just chill? If you're used to obsessively cooking with the recipe and measuring everything exactly down to the exact quarter teaspoon of soy sauce or whatever, like, can you just kind of eyeball it? Can you learn to be chill with following the vibes rather than following a recipe? This reminds me a little bit, this is a very silly anecdote, but about a decade ago, I was dating someone and I remember he was cooking, how was he cooking? It was like some kind of quesadilla or something. He was using a frying pan to make this quesadilla. And I remember he was looking at the recipe on his phone. It was like cook on each side for like 5.2 minutes or something. It was a really meticulous number. And so instead of looking at the frying pan, he was looking at the timer on his phone. And lo and behold, I was like, hey, it's burning. 'Cause it was smoking, and when he flipped it over, the bottom was like completely black. And so this is what can happen when we are too meticulously in the Virgo energy, when we're so obsessed with like, okay, no, we have to leave it in for this exact period of time, at this exact heat, and we're just not even realizing that in reality, the food is burning. So maybe we should ignore what this number is and just respond to what is happening in front of us. Because things don't always go to plan, and everyone who cooks or bakes knows this. Every oven is different, every heat source is a little bit different in terms of how does something at a particular set of degrees, like actually hit the food that's being cooked, whether it's baking or cooking on stovetop or whatever, it's always going to be a little bit different. Every pan is a little bit different, et cetera, et cetera. Every type of pasta is a little bit different. And so we can apply this to our lives right now, this week, as we hit this eclipse. How can we pay more attention, to use this kind of example, to what is on the frying pan itself and look at how it's cooking just based on our eyeballs and feeling how does it smell? Does it smell burnt? Does it smell like it's cooking? How does it, like, what are the sensory inputs that are allowing us to inform our decision making rather than ignoring the thing and just checking the timer? Virgo total lunar eclipse in the south node is asking us to throw out that timer, at least for right now. Because there's many ways that that timer is actually fucking up our results when we pay too much attention to it. And so a lot of us are going to be on a timeline of like, oh, I want to be married by this age, I want kids by that age, I should be this successful by this age, blah, 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 blah. And I think this eclipse is inviting us all collectively to just let go of that stuff. We are, each and every one of us, on our own timeline. Many people have lives that on the outside look perfect, but inside it really could be is anything but. Some people might have gained a lot of success early on and now feel creatively stagnant because they are following some formula of what success is supposed to look like. Other people might feel behind because they don't have a book deal yet, or they don't own property yet, or blah, blah, blah. And I think for this eclipse, with all of the specifics that I've already talked about, I think we can just release that shit because it really does not serve us. Of course, sometimes we can use this meticulousness and these timelines and an awareness of the time constraints that is life. Sometimes that can propel us to, be a kick in the ass that we need to motivate ourselves to achieve some of these things. Often we're capable of more than we think we are. However, I don't believe the time for that energy is right now. Right now, the energy is, what box have you put yourself in? And don't you think you might be more creative, have more fun, get more done, be more productive, be more active if you gave yourself permission to say, fuck the box? Because a box can also be confining. And of course, these are seasons, right? So the eclipse dance, it will change eventually. We will move eventually into a different season when it comes to this North Node, South Node dance. And so let's enjoy this season while we're in it and shed some of that constricting skin. Are there versions of yourself that are confining you? Do you need to let some past idea or past identity of who you are, what your body is, what your work is? Because again, Virgo, do you need to let some of that stuff go so you can be birthed into this more expansive version of who you are? Are your clothes too tight, so to speak? And do you even like the style that they are? Makes sense because this is also, as you've heard me talk about before, the year of the snake. As we all know, snakes shed their skin. And I really do believe, for so many different reasons, due to so many different types of energies swirling around this year really is all about that. Virgo, of course, is also associated with the body, health issues, so it'd be a good time to chat with your doctor, revisit any health concerns. Interestingly, as I'm sure some of you guys know, I had an important doctor's appointment last week, two actually, and I've got another one this week, another one next week. It is the time to really take the reins of your health journey as well as we move into this relationship with Virgo energy. A lot of big vibes swirling around. So be prepared to be hit by this eclipse in an interesting way. We don't always know how eclipse season is going to hit us when we're at the start of it, which we are right now. But what I want to say is be open to the mystery. Don't be afraid of it. And I do think it is really important to embrace change rather than deciding to stay in a stagnant space. Wriggle out of that dead skin and allow this eclipse to help you with that process. Again, if you are in North America, I do recommend staying up to view the eclipse. I will be doing that. Oh, I think it's warming up a bit here in Toronto, so I'm excited to camp out somewhere and watch the totality and just be in the energy. And I'm hoping it is as crazy and spiritual and cosmic and seismic as an experience it was for me last year to be in the totality for the total solar eclipse. That was absolutely fucking crazy. But whether or not you actually are viewing the energy, you are going to be affected by it. It's a good time to leave out your tarot decks, to be cleansed by the vibes, any stones or gemstones or, I don't know, herbs or any type of objects you really enjoy working with spiritually, candles, incense, really anything. Statues, images of deities, oracle cards, tarot decks, whatever. Even maybe if you've got a magical diary or journal, whether it's one of mine or just a blank one, anything that you consider sacred or important to you, do put that somewhere that the eclipse energy can see it, usually by a window, or if you've got an enclosed yard space, you can put that in your backyard, whatever resonates. When I went to the total solar eclipse energy last year, I did bring a few tarot decks with me, and that was something that for me really helped those decks become infused with my energy. We really bonded. And so I will be bringing those decks with me to this totality. So I'm excited. I think it should be pretty fun. So I'll leave you guys with that for now. I'm excited for the vibes. I'm excited for the vibes. Happy eclipse season. We are in it, you guys. It's happening. And I wanted to give a little reminder that I am available for tarot readings. So if anyone does have some big stuff that they are working through right now, a tarot reading might help. Sometimes when it's especially hectic stuff, it's difficult to read for ourselves, and we just do need that outsider perspective. So do be in touch and book on my website. That is something that you are interested in, sabrinamscott.com, and just click tarot readings at the top. And I do have a few spaces open for coaching. So this is also a really great service that I offer, and I'll probably do another episode sometime soon specifically about the differences between coaching and something like therapy or even a tarot reading. Those are three completely different things. But if you do want someone to help you in finding your spark, finding your confidence, talking you through some of the big things, big changes that you are going through, if you want someone to help you reconnect with yourself and the amazingness that you know is buried somewhere inside you that maybe you used to access all the time but has become a little bit dormant, your person, please do be in touch. There is, again, a one-on-one section of my website at the top navigation. Just click the one-on-one section, and if you can't find it, just send me a hello on email or on Instagram. My Instagram is Sabrina M. Scott. And of course, my email is ceo@sabrinamscott.com. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate y'all. If you do enjoy this podcast, please leave a 5-star review. It really does help make sure that the different places that this podcast lives push the podcast so that more people can enjoy some of what I have to say. Okay, friends, that's it for now. Much love. Talk to you soon. Bye.